We will move to the last segment of the conference today, which is on the certification ecosystem, for which our first speaker is Mr. Sushil Kumar. Do we have him with us in the conference, or Mr. Sushil Kumar is actually juggling between two conferences, this one and the ICE? Okay.
Binduji, I am ready. No issue.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So I will just give a brief introduction to Mr. Sushil Kumar before we start. Mr. Sushil Kumar is currently serving as a Deputy Director General, Internet of Things at Telecom Engineering Center, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India. He is an officer of the 1987 batch of the Indian Telecommunication Services. He's in his current role as the DDG IoT. He created a framework for finalizing specifications in machine-to-machine communications IoT domain with multi-stakeholder participation in sync with global standards development organizations, with the outcome intended to be used in policy standards. Mr. Sushil Kumar has been instrumental in coming out with technical reports on IoT M2M applications in various verticals. And then he's also been the key force driving the adoption of oneM2M standards as the Indian national standards. Over to you, Mr. Sushil Kumar. So we're making you the presenter.
Presentation done. Yeah.
Mr. Sushil Kumar, we can see your presentation, but you're muted.
Yes, you are able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, and I am really thankful to oneM2M and especially Ms. Bindu Srirastav for giving me an opportunity to present on this subject. I am from Telecommunication Engineering Center, that is the technical wing of the Department of Telecommunication. It is the national standard body for telecom and related ICT sector. It is also designated as a national inquiry point for WTO TBT, that is technical barrier to trade for telecom sector. It has been mandated to coordinate with ITOT and having national working groups in line with ITOT study groups. And DOT is the nodal agency for coordinating with ITU from India, and I am also having the honor to be vice chair in working party 2 of study group 20, and also the vice chair in AI4A focus group of ITUT study group 20. TC is also designated as the authority to implement mandatory testing and certification of telecom equipment, and it also covers the IoT devices. And it is the designated authority to accredit the CAPS, that is the labs, for carrying out the testing and submitting its results to TEC for certification purpose. It is the IoT functional architecture taken from the document of ITUT study group 17. That is the device network. Network will be having the gateway or the wireless or wired network. It may also have the cellular or non-cellular LPWAN or low power wireless communication technology network. Any type of communication technology may be there. It will depend upon the use case, and then finally we will be having the platform that may be in the cloud or the server and the applications. Then how these devices are connected, like in the inner circle we are having some of the like POS machine, the smartphones. These are the gateways, and behind the gateways we will be having the, several type of devices. And in fact, the devices may also be connected directly to the platform using the this PSTN or PLMN communication technologies. But the gateways should be IP enabled. The devices behind the gateway may be IP or non-IP. And there will be several type of communication technologies: non-cellular, cellular. In non-cellular, it may be LoRaWAN, Sigfox; in cellular, 2G, 3G to 4G, and now 5G. And low power wireless communication technology behind the gateways we may have. And then the platform will be there. In the security, we need the security of the IoT devices, gateways, and as well as the platforms and the applications. Then if we come further, as 5G technology is being deployed across the globe, and in India also 5G services have been launched by Honorable Prime Minister. Now, if we see 2/3 of the 5G will be used in the IoT use cases, like in massive scale communication, and ultra reliable low latency type of use cases, like in V2V or cellular V2X, this remote surgery, public safety, and we will be having the industrial automation, vehicle to infrastructure, healthcare, social networking, and high-speed internet will also be used. Like we can have the device in our home or in offices enabled with 5G, and we can have on the home area network side, we can have the Wi-Fi 6 or any of the technology, or Bluetooth Mesh, or Wi-Fi Hello, or other technologies. So now, if we come on the subject, the security is very important in the case of IoT domain. There may be vulnerabilities may arise at the device level, it may arise in the gateways, and also at the platform level. So how we can get affected from the security. There are several hacking incidences across the globe, and in the traffic intelligent transport system, traffic management system, it will create jams and accidents. V2X infrastructure, if it is hacked, it will create fatal accidents. Smart street lights may create hacking objects may create blackouts. Surveillance systems, smart parking may create hacking of smart parking may create jams, and DDoS and many other type of issues may arise. Sensor and alarm systems can be done right. And in fact, we are studying the standards, national and international, in the security domain. This what is going on in India and what is going on internationally on the policy, best practices, and the standards point of view, that is the work in progress in TEC. So the 5 main challenges for the proliferation of IoT domain in a smooth way, which have been described by ITU, and the security is one of them. Robust connectivity is it is first of the challenge. Second one is the standards. Third, the interoperability and open interfaces, and privacy, security, and the domain knowledge. So these are some of the challenges, and security is no doubt it is very important for the success of the IoT domain. So what India has done, in India, Department of Telecom released a number of policy documents as well as the guidelines. National Digital Communication Policy, which was released in 2018, and some of the guidelines, latest guidelines, like the this M2M service provider registration policy has been released in February 2022, and similarly the ULVNO, like the LoRaWAN network, Sigfox network, they should also register. These are the very light registration. Registration, and in fact the government should know which type of networks are working in the country and which are the M2M service providers or the M2M network providers. Then further, in NDCP, National Digital Communication Policy, which was released in 2018, it is having various salient features, and one of the features which I highlighted, that is the developing framework for accelerated deployment of M2M services while safeguarding security and interception of M2M devices, that is from the security point of view. regarding the testing and certification of the telecom equipment, a gazette notification was issued by the Government of India in 2017 that is called as mandatory testing and certification of telecom equipment. In fact, various type of this certification are available in TEC. Those are voluntary, but MTCT is from the regulatory and testing as well as security point of view, it is mandatory. So it is being implemented in phased manner, and it is having the specification based on international standards, minimum specification for which the testing is required to be done. That is on EMC, safety, communication interfaces, SAR or IPv6, and security. So security specifications are being finalized by our security wing of the Department of Telecom, and it will also be the part of the essential requirements. Suppose some lab doesn't exist or some testing specifications are not available at present, so then the relaxation is given against those specifications. So this scheme is being implemented in phased manner, and it is the responsibility of the manufacturers to carry it out to get the testing done in the labs and get the product certified. Then essential requirement for various telecom products as well as their variants, it is available on TEC website. In the IoT domain, we prepared some of the essential requirements like tracking device, smart watch, CCTV, smart camera, smart electricity meter, IoT gateway, and their variants. And for many products can be mapped against these specifications. Security specifications are being prepared and they will be part of the ERs, as I mentioned. Around 60 labs have been accredited by TEC for testing of products against these specifications available in the ERs. Then relaxation point I already mentioned. As the MTCT is in beginning stage, it has been started in 2019 and it is being implemented in phased manner. So network will have this tested as well as untested, both type of devices. So the IoT ecosystem or smart city ecosystem, we speak about the IoT scenario only. Then both type of devices will be existing. Some will be the which the design have been tested in the labs, and most of the devices will be untested because they have already been deployed before the launch of MTCT. Now the vulnerabilities and security related issues may come in any type of devices, whether it is tested or untested. So TRAI Telecom Regulatory Authority, this regulator of India, they released the recommendations on spectrum, roaming, and quality of service related requirement in machine-to-machine communication in 2017. And they had given a number of recommendations. All the recommendations, they were accepted by Department of Telecom, and 2 recommendations which were related with the IoT security, they were sent to TEC for carrying forward the work. That is, the device manufacturers should be mandated to implement security by design principles in M2M device manufacturing so that end-to-end encryption is achieved. And National Trust Center under the aegis of TEC should be created for the certification of M2M devices and application, that is the hardware and software. So these 2 recommendations came. Now, what TEC has done in the last 5 to 6 years, we started working in M2M IoT domain in 2014, and in the last 5 to 6 years, we released 18 technical reports with the outcome intended to be used in policy and standards. Some of the important items which became the part of policies and standards, they are like 30-digit numbering scheme, embedded SIM, IPv6, embedded SIM that is based on GSM specification, and the tracking device for the commercial passenger vehicles in view of the safety of the passengers has been mandated by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways based on embedded SIM. IPv6 for dual stack for all the devices and gateways. Common service layer, that is important, and it was studied in 2015, and now based on this, the further study on oneM2M and adoption of oneM2M release 2 was carried out. A spectrum for cellular V2X and IoT security. These are some of the important outcome of these documents. And out of 18, 3 documents, they are related with the security, that is framework for national center for testing of M2M devices and applications, code of practice for securing consumer IoT, and M2M IoT security. 3 documents were released related to security. And first 2 documents, they are in view of the TRI recommendations which came to TEC. And the code of practice has already been, it is based on ITSI TS 103645, or we can say ITSI and 303645, all the guidelines available in ITSI documents, they are also the guidelines in this code of practice. This document has been endorsed by Department of Telecom to all the ministries in Government of India, DRDO, and the telecom service provider, with the request that they should ask their IoT device manufacturer, service provider, or other stakeholders for voluntary adoption of the guidelines, and which may be mandated in future. And this out of 18, 5 documents, they were released in 2021-22, and it's my pleasure to mention that ITU has posted these technical reports, 5 technical reports, on its website as insightful technical resource for the benefit of the global community. So these have been posted very recently. So I thought let me brought it to the notice of large audience. This regarding adoption of oneM2M release 2 and release 3, both these specifications have already been adopted, and oneM2M release as a national standards. oneM2M release 2, which was adopted by TEC, has been further referred by Bureau of Indian Standards, that is the national standardization body, in its IoT reference architecture, and which has been further referred by the Smart City mission in Government of India. In fact, it's very important now. SPVs and other RFPs may include this IoT array. So further U4 SSC guidelines have also been referred by the Smart City mission. Then if we come to the international standards on security on which we are working, this ITU, we have studied the specifications released by ITU, T study group 20, study group 17, and some of the very important standards like X.509, X.1361, and ISO IEC standards released in 2022 very recently, this 27400, that is on IoT security and privacy guidelines. Then ETSI standards, it's EN 303645 for home gateways. Then UK DCMS code of practice, Australia code of practice, Finland and Singapore. Singapore released the cyber security labeling scheme based on its EN 303645 as a baseline requirement. And Finland and Germany, they have already made an agreement with the Singapore. These are really very, very important developments in the field of security. This is the Singapore labeling scheme. Then GSMA IoT Safe, that is also very important item in the field of security for the related with the embedded SIM. NIST has released NIST IR 8425 very recently, and very, very important guidelines. oneM2M TS 0003, that is on security solutions, and it had also been adopted by ITU. oneM2M release 2A, that was adopted by ITU, and work this TS 0003 has on security solutions. oneM2M test suits, they are required for the testing and certifications, and as discussed with our friends in GCF, it was told that these test suits are expected to be activated by December 2022. If these test suits get activated, then some of the labs in India will enable themselves for the testing of oneM2M based platforms, and even some sort of labs we can have in TEC also. So this is oneM2M testing and certification that is really very important from the platform point of view. Regarding vulnerability, this is one of the study was done by IoTSF that only 18.9% of the device manufacturers they declare vulnerability. So regarding IoT testing and compliance framework, I mentioned this MTCT, that is the scheme uh, uh, on which testing is to be carried out in labs. It is being implemented in phased manner. The hardware will be tested under MTCT and software will be tested by lab STQC. It is the lab available in India and it tests on based on common criteria. So this these vulnerabilities and security related issues are required to be settled, and vulnerability may arise in any of the devices, and the platform should be able to detect the vulnerabilities of the devices. At present, what is happening, we are having proprietary, most of the proprietary software are there in the platforms. Because the smart city work was started around 4 to 5 years back, and it has taken a little some time in getting the oneM2M right. And oneM2M is the only standard available at present, and we have tried. We have asked the smart city mission that the standards. Either the people should follow the oneM2M standards, which have been adopted by TEC as national standards, or any other standard is there, then it should have the interoperability with the oneM2M standards. oneM2M is having interworking with so many technologies like cellular technology, this cellular V2X, which will be which is the future for intelligent transport system. Therefore, testing and certification for all these will be required. And I think GCF is also working on the testing and certification for the cellular V2X domain. So these how these vulnerabilities will be addressed, this platform will integrate on OpenAPI to some portal that is named as National Trust Center. National Trust Center will have the repository of the device manufacturers, which will be integrated to them, and any type of like software or patches which will be developed, then those patches should be updated over the year. And this project has already been awarded to CDOT recently. This key takeaways from this discussions and the study which is in progress in TEC, and which will be we will be sending to DOT for bringing it to in the policy guidelines, like the first three guidelines which of the code of practice that should be adopted as a by the device manufacturers on priority basis, and it should be mandated in future, like no universal default password. Second one, implement a means to manage report of vulnerabilities, and third one, the keep software updated. And vulnerability management should be a part of policy and mandated for IoT device manufacturer. It is very important. Otherwise, what happens if we don't know anybody who has manufactured the device and they close the shop tomorrow, and suppose 1 million cameras have been installed in the country and camera becomes vulnerable, and we don't have the this manufacturers or manufacturer doesn't respond, then it will be a big issue. Security by design principles like its EN 303645 should be implemented as baseline requirement by manufacturers. Security on boarding of IoT devices at the platform, preferably it should use these certificates based on X.509. Classification of IoT devices depending upon the risk associated with the applications. Testing of IoT devices against security guidelines such as TS 103645 and 103701, and this TS have already been released, and some of the labs may test at least the first three specifications. Testing and certification of IoT platform as well as the 5G core against the related standards, that is also very important. And in fact, suppose those platforms which are not based on oneM2M or any other standards, how to carry out the testing of those platforms, that will also be a big challenge. And more than I think 70–80% of the platforms, they are proprietary platforms at present, not only in India but across the globe. This is the matter which is concerned, and if the platform are not having the security features, at least standardization bodies, they should come out with some of such items like in the common service layer 14 points which have been mentioned, that every platform, whether it is based on oneM2M standards or not, they are supposed to have all these features. So this testing and certification in the IoT domain, that is very, very important, and without testing, no doubt the tested devices and the platforms may also be hacked, but at least we will be able to ensure that some sort of testing security mechanism have been built up by the manufacturers in their devices. So this is from my side, and I think I thank you very much for your listening. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sushil Kumar, for that, for establishing the need for a system for testing IoT devices, and information on the initiatives being taken in India for this, including the setting up of the National Trust Center. And you would be happy to note that the TS 0003 on the security has just been is on its way to get final approval at the ITU, and you're already aware that oneM2M and GCF are closely engaged with each other on the development of the test suits and the certification ecosystem. Thank you very much, Mr. Sushil Kumar, for your presentation. I will now invite Mr. Kibam Kim from Telecommunications Technology Association to please give share the scenario from Korea. Kibam is a principal researcher at the IoT Testing and Certification Center of TTA. He received his MS in Computer Science from Korea in 2009. Before joining TTA, Kibam has worked at the Software Center in Samsung Electronics in South Korea for around 6 years. Kibam has actively been working in oneM2M in the testing and developer ecosystem work group. He's also the rapporteur of oneM2M work items at GCF. His current research interests are in the areas of testing and certification of IoT systems, including oneM2M, OCF, Matter, etc., and their interworkings. Over to you, Kibam.
Thank you very much for your nice introduction. So I would like to start my presentation for the introduction of the oneM2M certification program. Thank you. Okay, I will start. So because of the time limit, I will just go a little bit fast and just point out the important parts. The oneM2M has many detailed specification covering various areas of the IoT networks. So as you can see in this slide, PS1 describes and defines the core function, and PS4 defines the protocol layer, and other binding protocols are also defining some definition in the other protocols, how to use the oneM2M protocol go through the various protocols by binding, using binding. So the problem is that it's very difficult to specify and parameterize the function and the features of oneM2M to create the test specification for the certification. So in this slide, it says recently adding, but I just want to say newly adding after the core specifications. We add some TS31 and TS25. TS31 feature catalog is to summarize the features which is described and defined in the TS1 and TS4. And for the product profile, actually, it is very hard to narrow down the scope of the test. What is the minimum test scope for the certification? So we just add new test specs in the existing core specs to make some kind of connection to the certifications. So to make this test spec more to use in the certification, we have to achieve 4 kind of points. So first one is to defining the oneM2M product profiles, and second one is to developing the oneM2M test specs, and third is to implement TTCN3 code-based test cases, and the last one is to validate all the test specs and even the core specs and the test specs and the test system. So for defining the oneM2M product profiles, actually we use some commercialized products from the oneM2M area. So in the past, there was some commercial kind of service that based on oneM2M technology in Korea. So there's 3 very big major telco company in Korea. They use oneM2M specs to implement some kind of system, and they provide some service to the customers. And actually, because this system was developed before the certification, some of the features doesn't follow the spec clearly, but we gather the features from this telco company and make a kind of a common product profile to start for the certification. And based on this product profile, we parameterize the testing features which to test. And the edge side, they create a kind of a special task force to boost up this developing the test specification. And after that, in oneM2M side, they develop this test spec to create a TTCN3 code-based test cases. And this TTCN3 test cases is one of the kind of a real spec included in the oneM2M. So after that, we have to develop, validate all these things go through, and if it's okay, we deliver to the certification and make it the certification program can be launched. So after this activity, we achieve several points for the result. We have a complete specification for oneM2M testing, and we have a real executable code-based oneM2M performance test cases, and we have a stable and reliable authorized test system, and we have a full standard comparable market released products, which is certified for the first certification program and well-made certification program for the market, what we can trust. This is the first certification program for oneM2M what we launched at the past. So in this slide, I would like to talk about a little bit more about the TTCN3 code test cases. So as you can see in this slide, oneM2M managed the TTA series test cases by themselves. Is a part of the spec. So if you use this test case, you can directly conduct the conformance test of oneM2M. But the only thing you need is you have to have some kind of equipment or a tool that you can compile the test TTCN3 code, and also you have to have the tool to execute the code. So this is a kind of a background of the oneM2M certification program. So PT was agreed as the first oneM2M certification body at the 33rd Steering Committee in September 2016. And after TTA oneM2M certification program was officially launched on February 2017. It's we have a 1 year, kind of a 1 year preparation time, and get launched. And from this slide, I would like to talk about a little bit this different organization named GCF. Actually, GCF is a kind of a very famous and largest well-known certification authority in the world. Their main items are the most famous 3GPP technologies. So in order to spread and extend the oneM2M technology, we decided to migrate our oneM2M certification program to GCF. And we thought because of both 3GPP and oneM2M is a kind of a service provider friendly technology, we with together in a one certification policy, it could make a kind of a big synergy. After a year of collaboration between TT and GCF, the oneM2M certification program has officially expanded and transferred to GCF in July 2019. Certification products were also migrated and included in the list of GCF certified products. And of course, the products certified after this migration, it has to follow the GCF certification process, and it will be listed in the GCF certified product list. And this slide shows the kind of a plan of when how to develop the oneM2M certification program. So actually, GCF was planning to launch the GCF the oneM2M certification for at least one in 2019 July 1st. So we achieved this point, but after for the release 2, GCF was planning to launch the certification for the release 2 at late 2019, but it was because of the COVID-19, it was got delayed. So this is a new plan in GCF to launch the release 2 certification program for oneM2M. So at October this year, there was an approval to use just one UE for the validation of oneM2M release 2 at the IAG 59. And after there was a new TP. The TP means a test platform. So there was a new TP introduction to GCF DCC for the oneM2M release 2, and it was approved at the IAG 60 meeting. It was in the 3rd of November. And the validation result was submitted at November 16 by TTA. It was a 14th day before the meeting to get the approval. There's some kind of policy that the result have to be submitted 14 days before. And after the oneM2M release 2 validation report got the approval at IAG 61, it was November 30th of November, it was this week. And actually, after that, we was expecting to directly add this information to the GCF DCC website and launch the oneM2M release 2 certification program. but there was some issues that we have to also change some terms in the GCF policy documents, and we was expecting to get the approval, those TRs approval at the IAG 61, but because of some kind of forum issue, there was not enough member to get the approval for the CRs. It was endorsed to the steering committee, the steering group meeting. It will be in this week. So we expect those kind of CRs get approval in this week, next week. Then after the certification program for these two could be launched. And after, we are planning to do the marketing and promotion for the oneM2M Release 2 together with GCF TPA. And we are planning, GCF and planning to develop the Release 3 and next year, targeting second quarter. So starting from this slide, I would like to briefly introduce some kind of numbers of the testings, which are really included in the oneM2M certification work items. So in the work item 292, this is the Release 1 work item for the certification. It's including for the interoperability testing, it's including the HTTP and web and MQTT for the binding protocols, and it includes the XML and JSON for the serializations. And so the total number of the test cases is 288. And for the conformance testing, the total number is 328. But this is the total number. That doesn't mean the number you have to get the test to get the certification. The exact number that you're going to get the test is decided from the product profile, which are you going to get the certification. And for the Release 2 work item, there's some new binding protocol and serialization is added. So we add WebSocket and CBOR to the work item. So the total test cases is 576. And for the conformance testing, because of there are some new features adding in the product profiles for Release 2, so the total cases also get increased to 454. And for the test labs, GCF Recurrent Test Organization, they call it as RTOs. For the oneM2M IOP testing, interoperability testing, there's only TTA for the test lab. And for the conformance testing, there are TTA and SGS North America for the test lab. And also there is a kind of a policy, ACE policy in GCF. So in GCF, there is a kind of a ACE policy to have a detailed review on the plan and the result of the certification test. Currently, the ACE is mandatory for the oneM2M certification. So even you pass all the test cases which are required for the oneM2M certification, you have to get a review from the ACE before you submit the test results. And this ACE, currently the only TTA is involved in it. So this will be the last slide. I will talk about the oneM2M certified products. Currently, there are 35 products from the 28 manufacturers. This is you can see all the product list on the URL, which is shown on the slide. And just briefly introducing, there is a product from USA and from Korea, and also the interesting point is there is a certified product from Indonesia and Vietnam. So there are some other companies who make oneM2M products which are not involved in the oneM2M standard development and also not in the oneM2M related activities. So this is a kind of a big meaning in oneM2M that even though those company doesn't do some kind of real activity in oneM2M standard, they can just see in the specs and develop the oneM2M technique to make a product and get us get certified. Okay, this is all I have. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Kibam, for that great overview of the work done by TTA and also the relation with GCF. If there are any questions for Kibam, we can take them now.
Questions yet, ma'am?
No question, Asif. Thank you for confirming that. When we were designing this conference, we didn't realize that the deployments and certification, we were giving less time to people to talk about the deployments and certification ecosystem. We have actually reached the end time, the stipulated time of the conference. And the third speaker, Mr. Xavier Pinwar from Etsy, has kindly consented to not make a presentation to save on time. And we can interact with Xavier offline. Xavier is from the Center of Testing and Interoperability at Etsy, and he's been spearheading several activities related to the oneM2M certification and testing ecosystem from Etsy. Maybe we will take another explore some other opportunity for interacting with him and hearing his views. I would now like to jump straight to our fourth speaker, Mr. Lars Nielsen, who represents Global Certification Forum. Lars is the CEO and General Manager at GCF since 2013. He's responsible for expanding the global reach of the certification scheme and its diversification into vertical industries. Lars is a well-known and respected figure within the mobile industry, having actively participated in the work of GCF since the organization was founded in 1999. Lars is a resident of Denmark and lives at the German-Danish border, close to Flensburg. Lars, over to you.
Thank you very much, Bindu. I think you're going to present the slides, and let me start by congratulating oneM2M on their 10th anniversary. It's a big achievement. I think just when we saw this morning on the deployment, I think it shows you have been successful, and I think even bigger successes for oneM2M is ahead of us. And Bindu, are you getting the slides up? Or yeah, excellent. Yeah, and let's go ahead. Yeah, we put a presentation together on oneM2M where we are, and thanks very much to Keekbum from TTA. He had a very good presentation, so it's good I didn't include the same details. If we move to the next slide. So a little bit about GCF. I hope all of you know GCF. I think maybe what is worth noting for this conference is, yes, there is a certain overlap between our memberships, a relatively large overlap. However, of course, there is also members in oneM2M, which is not GCF members, and a little bit vice versa. As already mentioned this morning, we've also moved into other areas outside our traditional certification of 3GPP based devices. We moved into CV2X, and I cross my fingers for we have the first certifications here before the year is over. We are also launching mission critical services here in early next year. We are market representation partner of 3GPP, we are not one of the partners of oneM2M. There's a few things which a little bit presents us. I think the good thing is it's never prevented us in terms of getting our certification for oneM2M up running, and we have a very good cooperation with oneM2M and particularly TTA. If we go to the next slide. Just a little bit on the background why we were established is, yes, of course, we wanted really to ensure interoperability between the devices and networks. We also had a secondary objective which we wanted to achieve, rather than having each operator worldwide having their own compliance testing scheme, which would lead to a very long time for manufacturers to bring products into market. We back in the late 90s agreed it does make sense, as all operators are moving to the same technology in their networks, to have a certification scheme which really covers the things which is common to all operators. We have made it, we have been successful, had a lot of significant impact on the industry, and I always like to refer to one of the big operators based in Europe. They are saying, GCF, if you do GCF, you've done 95% of the testing we require to accept a product. They have 5% additional, where the testing is a little bit following same principles as GCF. From that operator's perspective, they always say when we send them the yearly invoice, oh, we have to pay 10,000 euro, but we actually save millions of euros in testing. If we go to the next slide. Membership, we have a steady growth over the years. Particularly what we've seen over the last few years is IoT is really driving manufacturer membership. We have today more than 150 members, and one of the pleasant surprises in my morning email review was that there was actually 2 IoT manufacturers who today have applied for membership, and I expect that we will exceed 350 members next year. If we go to the next slide. EBOM very well covered the transition we had from TTA into setting up oneM2M certification, really covering the need of the Korean market. We work together, have since 2019 taking it globally. And if we switch to the next slide. If you go to oneM2M.globalcertificationforum.org, you can see our website, and if you're interested in certification, seeing more, just request a login to the site. You will see all the process documentations there. And also what is very important to understand, certification is open not just to GCF members like the normal GCF certification, but anyone who's got an interest in oneM2M and want to certify a product. But it starts with a little bit getting access to the website. In terms of the compliance declarations, we are currently not making them available to the public. Of course, it is available which product have been certified. It is maybe one of the things as the oneM2M ecosystem evolves, we need to discuss, look on, what should be made public available. Maybe there's more specific details. If we go to the next slide. One of the things what we have done for our existing manufacturer members, if they certify a 3GPP product, which also have supports oneM2M, they can do it as a one-stop shopping. So it would then be GCF certified, and the oneM2M part would automatically be listed on the oneM2M site. If we go to the next slide. As already covered by Kibom's presentation, we have a work item for release 2, and also set up the work item for release 3, which is currently in the more work item description development stage. Yes, unfortunately, there were some problems in getting release 2 validations working, and I think thanks to hard work from TTA, we finally now have a solution for that. It's unfortunately a bit holding back, I think, certifications, but I think on the next slide, I will a little bit give an update exactly of where we are. So I think if we move to the next slide. And I think already Kibom showed that timeline. As such, yes, we have accepted the validation. There are some of the reference documents for certifications which need to be updated before we really release 2 for certification. Also, our device certification criteria database, also called DCC, needs to issue a new revision. That's going to happen next week, and as such, yes, early December, oneM2M release 2 certification is possible. In terms of going to the outside world, really marketing, promoting it, yes, we will work with TTA on that one and expect it to happen early in next year. Also, we want it out there. We will be present at the IoT Solutions World Congress in Barcelona, end of January. And so we would also use the announcement of the availability of release 2 as part of building up to that event. And of course, I'm sitting here remotely in cold, dark Denmark in the winter time. And of course, I hope to meet some of you in Barcelona at the IoT Solutions World Congress. If we go to the next slide. What about the upcoming releases? Because yes, a little bit release 2 is a little bit old. Yes, we are working on getting release 3 certification up running in 2023. And we also need to really make a plan for when to cover release 4, 5, and etc. One of the considerations what we're having in terms of the certification and work around it is to see is today we covered by our IoT agreement group, which is really basically still open just to GCF members. We have developed in terms of our cooperation framework a concept of work streams, which is a little bit doing the same as our technical working group, except it's open to both GCF members and other interested party from outside without going through this burden and being a GCF member. And I think that's one of the things we need to look at what is required. Else, I think worth noting, currently there's not that many labs recognized for GCF, but I think as we saw from Sushil Kumar's presentation, things are really starting to move in India. We are in close contact with both TSDSI and TEC on oneM2M. And of course, I hope and expect that the ecosystem supporting oneM2M certification will also grow in 23 and the years belong. And I think with that one, we more or less reached the end of the presentation. There was, if in the deck also, there is a video. I think we can drop it now as we're a little bit behind on time, and maybe just go to the final slide. And thank you very much for being given this opportunity to present at this event. You can reach me at Lars Nielsen at Global Certification Forum if you want to do it. Else use our oneM2M.globalcertification.org website, which you can also use to get in contact with the right people at GCF. So thank you very much, and of course, particularly for the delegates in Korea, I hope you soon will have a nice weekend, and for the ones traveling, safe travel back to where you came from. And of course, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, which is happening soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lars, for giving us the GCF viewpoint on your activities in the oneM2M certification. And we are looking forward to the release 2, oneM2M release 2 certification system coming out soon. And as you mentioned, there is some activities are picking up in some regions, including India, on setting up the certificate compliance and testing ecosystem. And we look forward to the partners and stakeholders interacting closely on that one. With that, we come to the end of this segment of the conference, which was on the certification ecosystem. We do hope this entire conference, which covered the oneM2M standards roadmap, the solutions, deployments, and certification, was of some use to the participants. If you have any questions or any follow-on queries, please do reach out to us at oneM2M, and we'll be happy to connect you with the relevant experts. We would also like to hear from you any work that you might have done in IoT M2M, and if you would be interested in exploring oneM2M frameworks, we would be happy to put you in touch with some of the experts within the oneM2M community who are always very happy to help people who are starting out or are exploring interworkings or actually adopting oneM2M. With that, we come to the end of this conference. But before we end, I would like to thank TTA, Michael Kim and his team for offering us this venue for running this conference in the hybrid mode, and also to the team at TSTSI, which helped in orchestrating the conference in a hybrid mode. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and wish you a very happy, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. Thank you. Bye.